Today on this 2009 Chevrolet HHR, you'll be having a look at and being shown how to install the Roadmaster XL base plate kit with removable arms. Part number 3141-1. Here's what our base plate looks like installed. Now this base plate is going to give us the vital connection point that we're looking for when we want to flat tow our HHR behind our motorhome. Now, our tow bar will connect to our removable arms via these attachment holes right here. You'll have a bolt-on adapter to attach your tow bar to. You may have a crossbar that goes across between your two arms, depending on your model of tow bar that you have. Now, these removable arms are great because when we're not towing our HHR behind our motorhome, we can simply pull our clip, pull our pin out, and then the arm will pull out. Our other arms the same way. Our safety cable attachment point removes simply by loosening a quick link, sliding it out, and we have a nice clean look on the front of our vehicle now. As you can see right in the middle of our base plate, we have a nice attachment point for any electrical connectors that we may have, such as a 6-pole round or a 4-pole round. With our arms and our cables removed, nothing will stick past our license plate bracket, so we don't have to worry about adding any added length to our vehicle for close quarter parking situations. It'll be exactly as the same as it was before. Now that we've gone over some features of our Roadmaster base plate kit, we'll show you how to get it installed. Okay, with our hood open, we can begin our install by removing the hardware on top that holds our fascia in place. We have 4 7mm screws in total, 2 on each side of our radiator right by the headlight. Okay, we'll do the same for the other side. Keep in mind everything we do on one side, we'll be repeating on the other side. Now in each one of our wheel well, we'll find 2 screws that are 7mm and 2 plastic fasteners. Our plastic fasteners are here, the top where our fascia meets our fender. We have one here, and then we have another one on the bottom edge right behind our tire. The way these plastic fasteners work, get behind them with a flathead screwdriver or trim panel tool, pop it out. Kind of looks like a Christmas tree. Okay, now we find ourselves underneath. We'll find one more 7mm screw and one more plastic fastener that holds our fender liner to our fascia. We'll remove both of these from both sides. Okay, now we have all of our fasteners undone. I've peeled back our wheel liner here so we can disconnect any electrical connectors we have. Every vehicle is going to have a side marker light, so you can just grab that, twist it, and pull out. Now, if your vehicle is equipped with fog lights, you'll need to do the same thing, and that'll be located further towards the front. Our vehicle doesn't have that, so we don't need to worry about that. Okay, now with an extra set of hands, we'll grab our fascia at the corner where it meets our fender, pull back, pull away from our headlights. Now we can pull it away from the vehicle and set it aside where it won't get damaged. Okay, now we need to remove our splash shields. We're looking at our driver's side one first because the passenger side one is different. On the driver's side, we'll have 4 plastic fasteners to remove. So there's 2 there. We have 2 more down lower, one close to the radiator, and then one further back next to our subframe. The way these work, get behind it, the center section, with a trim panel tool or flathead screwdriver. It'll pull out, and then the whole push pin will pull out with it. Okay, with all the fasteners removed, splash shield will just pull away from the vehicle. Let's set it aside for right now. Okay, now on our passenger side, we have the same 4 fasteners in the same spots, except we have 2 more now in addition to those. We have one way up in here behind this brake hose, and then we have another one that's further down right here. Okay, now we have a pole jack in place on our subframe. We're doing this in a lift, so we're using a pole jack. If you're doing this on your garage floor, jack stands or a floor jack will suffice. The reason we're doing this is because we have to remove the bolts that hold our subframe into place on the front. They're 21mm bolts. We have 1 at each corner. Okay, now the bolts that we removed from our subframe, we'll put some red Loctite on them. Now we can raise our base plate up and we'll secure it with the subframe bolts back in the original location. We have an extra set of hands to raise the base plate into position. Okay, with those bolts in place, we'll tighten them down. Okay, now we'll torque those 2 bolts to the amount specified in the instructions. With those 2 bolts in place and torqued to specifications, it's safe for us to remove our pole jack now. Okay, now on the bottom of our base plate, underneath our bumper beam, we have square holes where hardware will go into our bumper beam to help support the base plate. We'll go through these holes in the center and drill a small pilot hole. Now we'll enlarge that hole to a 1/2 inch in diameter. You use a drill bit for this. I'm using a step bit. Okay, now we'll take one of our carriage bolts. Make sure we have our Loctite on there. And we'll stick it through the hole into the bumper beam. And then inside of the bumper beam, we'll place a reinforcement bracket over the bolt. Once the reinforcement's there, we'll place a lock washer over the bolt. And we'll thread on a nut. Now we will tighten down the nuts. I'm using about a 3-inch extension with a wobble adapter and a 3/4 inch socket. You will need this in order to get enough torque on the hardware in order to get it tight. And now we'll torque the hardware to the amount specified in the instructions. All right, now on the inside of our frame rail, we have another hole in our base plate. We need to get the hardware inside the frame and to come out through this hole. Now the instructions say to use a fish wire technique. However, there's no fish wires included with the base plate. But we do have them available on our website if you'd like to purchase some. You'll need one that is a 1/2 inch diameter for 1/2 inch bolts. So we'll insert it through the hole. And we'll work it down until it comes out the square hole in the bottom. Just like that. Okay, with our wire through our hole, we'll place on our block and then thread on our carriage bolt. Place both of those into the square hole. Take our pull wire and the bolt comes out. Now we'll take our nut, make sure we have some Loctite inside of it. We'll remove our pull wire from our bolt. Place on a large flat washer. lock washer. And then we'll thread on our nut that has Loctite. We'll tighten it with a 3/4 inch wrench. And now we'll torque it to the amount specified in the instructions. All right, I've marked out on our fascia with a yellow marker, according to the instructions, an area that we're going to need to trim on both sides below our license plate and the grill opening. I'm going to use a rotary tool with a cutting bit in order to do this because I'll be able to follow the lines the smoothest with this. You can use other options, but I highly recommend using something like this. Now we'll put back our splash shields, making sure we put the fasteners back in the same position as they were. Now before we put our fascia back on, it's a good idea if you're going to be putting a braking system in your vehicle or doing any towed vehicle lighting, to go ahead and route your wires, mount your breakaway switch while you have the fascia off. That way it's easily accessible and you can get the stuff in position real easily and quickly. Okay, now with an extra set of hands, we'll reinstall our fascia, making sure we get it in the proper position. Now before we put our fender liner back into place, we want to make sure that we reconnect our marker lights and fog lights if our vehicle has them. And that completes your look at and being shown how to install the Roadmaster XL base plate kit with removable arms, part number 3141-1 on this 2009 Chevrolet HHR.